What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai, so I want to bring another video. Today I'm bringing you a video on Uchuu Sentai Kyuranger. For those that may have noticed, this is a different setup. This is a different situation entirely. You may be noticing the room, as I'm trying to imply. Different room. I've actually switched again into a different room, this time one where I don't have someone else in it, which means that I can make a lot more videos a lot more often and not have to worry about if something comes up first thing in the morning. I don't have to worry about waking up someone, and also I can just do it whenever I want to now. So that means I'll be able to make a lot more when I want to and when things come up, which is much better. So I thought I'd talk about episode 6 because it did come out this weekend and I didn't get the chance to review it yet. Episode 6 is called Flap Dancing Star, and it's a pretty awesome episode. I actually liked it a lot. So what happened in this episode was we end up first starting off with Hammy talking about, like, you know, she's fighting as a Kyuranger against Dark Matter, like, and you know, a lot of characters have had their own intro bit where they'll do something like that to introduce the episode. Next episode we're gonna have Gold. You know, last episode I believe it was Orange or something like. Oh no, it was Orange, and then Pink was probably the previous one, I believe. I don't remember right now. I don't know. Pink was previous. Anyway, you get the point. They are doing those, and so what happens is that they're talking about the magistrates on Earth, and there's this magistrate that they have to go down to because they're causing suffering on Earth. This magistrate's called Danville. Obviously, the previous magistrate was Aerodron. But yes, Danville is our current magistrate, and so what happened is that they have to go down to Earth and deal with that one because he's causing suffering on the Earth. So then what happens is that Hammy brings up the idea of a leader, and she nominates herself to be one. The reason why is because she feels like there's just not a sense of leadership in this team, and so. She nominates herself. Then Garo's like, "What are you talking about? Lucky's been our leader." And the thing is that she doesn't agree with it. And then he's like, "Fine, I'll be leader." And then suddenly we have Champ who says he'll be leader, and then even Nagare says he'll be leader. But the thing is that the two that are really the most heated when it comes to this whole entire topic is Garu and Hammy. Lucky really doesn't care. Champ's sort of like, I might as well. Nagare's like confident but a little bit more unsure, as he typically is. But you know, overall it's all good. So what happens is that Shorambo or Deshelle basically says, you know what, we'll determine who's leader based on who does the most during our next mission. And so then at that point they use the Qlet. So then Sho does his dance for the Qlet, you know, and then we get to see what is the team going to be made up of, which is Hammy, Garu, Lucky, Spada, and Balance. So those are the 5 members that were chosen for this episode. And they mainly are, like, the other 4 really don't get much of any focus, period. So, although I shouldn't say that because Stinger does get focused, but we'll get into that. But yes, Champ, Nagare, and Raptor probably get the least focus. Although Raptor probably gets the most of the 3 of those guys, of those 3 at least. So then what happens is that Raptor gets the most focus out of all those. So then what happens is that they end up going down to Earth and they end up trying to deal with Danville. So we end up seeing some footage of Danville controlling his people, and he is asking them to do calisthenics, like his version of calisthenics, and also at the same time he forbids these people from dancing. It's forbidden completely. So instead they have to do calisthenics, and they're very much so obedient to him and are very good at following orders and, you know, working as a team. So what happens is that they're fighting, and suddenly what do you call it? Lucky asked if there's any like Kyotama that he can use that might be useful for this, and suddenly they end up using Pegasus Kyotama. Pegasus ends up attaching onto his suit, and suddenly he he comes to life. He actually starts to speak. But that's how he's supposed to be. So the thing is that he is attached to him. He's able to talk, and suddenly he's jumping around, thrashing around like a horse and all that. And he's making Lucky move around like this uncontrollably, because the thing is that they haven't become attuned to each other yet. So what happens is that that's all going on. Hammy and Garu are fighting about being a team, and one's getting in the way of the other, being more successful or whatever, and Spada and Balance are sort of like just kind of there just to, be there for the most part. They really don't do much. So eventually they end up having to confront Danville directly, and when they do this, it's not the best, because what happens is that they try to attack, and he tries to use his Pegasus. He tries to use Pegasus Kyotama, or as he's being referred to as Mr. Pegasus, Mr. Pega, and what happens is that they're not coordinating very well at all, and the Malish basically says like, without coordination, a team cannot reach victory. And at that point, what happens is that he ends up doing he ends up calling on his followers. So he ends up having endeavors that are ready to attack. At the same time, he ends up having the people set up in different formations, so that basically the Kyurangers don't want to hurt the people, but at the same time they want to hurt the endeavors. And so what happens is that they get in the way. So because of this, what happens following this is that they end up not knowing how to attack properly and work together, while the endeavors and these people that he has under his control are working in complete sync and are very efficient, and really just have no issue defeating the Kyurangers. So then what happens is that at that point they realize they have to go back to base, and Hammy does ask so who did the most during the mission, and it turns out it was Lucky, and makes Hammy annoyed, of course. So at that point there's argument going on all around, and I forgot to mention that Raptor also tried to be commander. Anyway, what happened was that Sho talks about Mr. Pega, because he ended up talking about how he found him and all that stuff, and how he had gone on some missions through wastelands and through treacherous terrain and all that, and how it was a big ordeal. And Nagare even said, like, I doubt he's telling the truth. Like, I bet you he's lying or something like that, because he typically does those kind of things where he's talking to the camera, and he's sort of like, I'm sure he's lying. He does things like that. So what happens is that at that point, Sho basically says to them, you know what this team needs in order to become more coordinated? They need to learn they should do dance practice. So at that point what happens is that they get together and they start dancing, and they dance to the Kyotama dancing song that is the end theme of the show. So they start doing that. Some of them are more confident than others. What happens is regarding Lucky is that he's actually bouncing all around, because Mr. Pega wants to bust a move, and the thing is that they're not really synced up together, so Mr. Pega is taking all the control, and there's he's going nuts, so it's crazy. In the meantime, the others are trying to do their own things. Raptor's having a good time. Garu's not the best dancer, but he's still trying. Hammy's really trying to do well. All the others are doing their own things, but overall it's just a big mess. So what happens is that at that point they really just don't really have any interest in it. At the same time, we then also see that they try to get Stinger to come, but Stinger is not interested. And what happens is that he's actually confronted by two assassins from Dark Matter. The two assassins are Ikagan and Madako, and Madako is sort of like a squid or an octopus monster, and Ikagan, it's a little bit harder to figure out, but I really love their designs a lot. And so what happens is they're actually looking for the Kyurangers because they're meant to assassinate them. And the thing is that they end up asking Stinger if he knows about the Kyurangers, and he says he does, and he says he knows where they are. And so what happens is that after the dance, we end up seeing this clip where we end up seeing them ask, "Are you sure that they're here in this like deserted area?" And the thing is that he's like, "Yes, absolutely. Kyuranger's right in front of you." And suddenly he transforms into Sasori Orange and begins to fight them. The thing is that Ikagan easily dodges most of his attacks and doesn't do much better against Madaku, and just in general he struggles a lot. He then eventually digs underground and tries to hide from them using the desert terrain to kind of create a foggy or a fog that prevents them from seeing where he goes, and he ends up a distance away while they end up walking away, thinking that he must have escaped. And the thing is that they're not that interested at the moment in necessarily defeating one, but they'll come back and they're looking to do some real harm to them eventually. Doesn't mean that this episode, but probably in the next couple of episodes we'll probably see them return, probably around the time that Sho ends up becoming part of the team or something like that. I would imagine that we'd see them. But anyway, what ends up happening is that Stinger basically says, like, this is going to be definitely difficult for them to defeat, and he's referring to the other Kyurangers, so he's kind of concerned with that. In the meantime, what happens is that we end up seeing a clip. We end up seeing Hammy and Garo at night, and they're in the ship. Hammy's kind of upset, not looking the best. Garo's in there as well, and Garo ends up asking Hammy, why do you want to be leader? And Hammy says because she was born into a shinobi family, and she wants to be. She's always worked so hard, and she feels like Lucky is just this guy that all of his leadership will be based off of luck, and it's not right to her because she's grown up having to work hard, and he's grown up having to be to just get lucky and come by off of luck, and it's sort of it makes him seem insignificant in comparison to her because it's like she's trained hard while he's just been fortunate. And at the same time, it's like at some point his luck may run out, and so there's that risk factor. But the thing is that Garo feels that, Lucky isn't just that. There's more to him than, luck. He is something special, and he's not just a lucky person. And Sho comes in and kind of explains things, and actually shows that he had been training with Mr. Pega all night to figure out how to solve to make them more in sync with each other. So eventually he got to the point of really being in sync and talking with him and being pretty darn friendly. So what happens is that following that, what occurs is that they end up dancing alongside him, and the thing is that because they see that, there's also this point of how he's smiling, he's having fun. He trains hard and he has fun, and it's all about this idea of drawing good fortune that comes from his happiness and him never trying to be upset but just trying to make it fun. And that's what's key to him. Even though he seems like he's lucky all the time, he's working. He tries to be happy and joyous and make things fun so that good fortune can come to him. It's not just because I'm lucky and it just occurs. It's because he's working at it, and he's fortunate, and he's trying to make things positive. That's what's key about him, and I really love that. I think that adds a lot of value to him because, believe me, a lot of people, including myself, feel that he is a little too much when it comes to talking about how lucky he is. Look, don't get me wrong, having a lucky leader is great, but at the same time, if you're based purely off of luck, that luck is going to run out. But in this case, it sounds like he's lucky, but it's not like he doesn't deserve that luck. He wasn't born just being lucky. He had to work for it too, but he still also tried to be positive and show and do things that could bring good fortune. So what happens is that they end up joining him, trying to dance alongside him. Then the others join with them, and eventually you have pretty much everyone except for Stinger joining them, and you have Show as well, and they're all really in sync, doing super well. So then what happens is that they end up going down to Earth and decide to confront Danville. When they go there, what happens is that he is commanding the people to do calisthenics again, and this time they're ready to defeat him, even though he feels that nothing will change. So when they end up fighting him, they start to attack them, but do it in sync with the end music theme, the Kyotama dancing, and manage to actually block the people and knock out the endeavors and come in to defeat Danville. And they actually use a final attack with Pegasus that leads to him getting big, turned big. And they use the consumers, and then have to use the formation of Spada, Balance, Lucky, Hammy, and Garu. And Hammy and Garu are the legs, Spada and Balance are the arms, and obviously Lucky is the mid-body, torso, and head or whatever. So that is awesome. Anyway, they end up defeating him. They use a special attack with Pegasus that allows them to really take him out, and then we end up seeing that Ikagan and Madako see this as well, and following that we see them back at the base where we end up hearing Hammy say that, you know what, I'm willing to accept you as leader, Lucky. And Lucky's like, I don't really want to be a leader. And the thing is that she's like, I just said I'll accept you. Why would you not want to take this? And he's like, because I don't feel like anyone is a leader. I feel like we're all stars. We're all, special or whatever. And so, in other words, and that's really fair, even though people consider him sort of like the leader, and he is, but at the same time he feels like it's a large team, but at the same time they each have their own specialties that allow them to each be leader in their own way, which is great. Very sweet, very simple, but it works. So then at that point what happens is that there's the whole N-bit theme, and we do end up seeing what the next episode is going to look like. It's going to be an episode focused on gold and his birthday apparently, which is interesting, and a monster is going to be based around that. I'm not sure if that monster is a Magistrate or if it's just sort of like Yumi Pakun. Probably more so Yumi Pakun, I would imagine. So that's interesting. As far as other things go with that episode, it does look like we are going to get that episode will be a crossover with X-Aid. So yes, Kamen Rider X-Aid will be doing a crossover next episode during this, so that is cool to see. I'm sure it's just going to be X-Aid, so we're not going to be getting Brave or Snipe. If you're curious about them, we're not getting them. We're not getting Laser. We're not getting, any of the others. I'm pretty sure. Maybe there might be something, but I'm almost positive we're probably not going to get something. But then again, it could just as easily change. I don't want to say anything until we know for a fact. But that's about it. I'd love to know your guys' opinions. Are you looking forward to that episode? Also, just in general, did you enjoy this one? How do you think this will progress now? Obviously, we've gotten Pegasus now. We're almost into April. April is the month that we are supposed to be getting Show, so that'll be interesting. And also, Sky Blue should be showing up fairly soon as well. So I'll be very interested to see how things will go, because we're almost in that month now. So just give it a week and we'll be give it a week or so, and then we'll be like right there. So actually 2 weeks, probably 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll be in April. So yeah, that's about it. So please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. Are you guys looking forward to the next episode and future ones as well? And are you enjoying this show? Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So goodbye, guys.